The UFC's back with a bang this weekend. Really nice card, even if there has been some late withdrawals. It's a lot better than the non-event last week, which wasn't even worth talking about. But we got some very nice fights this weekend. I'm going to start off with Brandao, Diego Brandao. He's fighting for the first time since he fought Conor. And obviously we know how that went down, but Conor is a bit different to the rest of the division, and I don't think Jimmy the Kid Hedis can hang with Diego. He has decision losses to the likes of Marcus Brimage. He got knocked the fuck out by Dennis Bermudez in his last fight. And, I mean, his best win, I guess, is over Nam Fan, who's not exactly going to be breaking any records anytime soon. So I think Diego's going to go through Jimmy Hedis. And obviously Jimmy doesn't like this weight cut. It's tough. If you have a real, strong, powerful, angry Diego Brandao, which I reckon he's going to be for this fight, it's going to go straight through Jimmy Hedis. It's going to be a first round knockout. I mean, he could possibly get him in a submission after he hurts him, but probably Diego's just going to go through him. I see this being a 2-minute fight. And poor old Jimmy Hedis, I don't know where he's going to go after that. Down to the bottom of the division, if not another organisation. After that, I'm going to look at St. Preux, and he's fighting Pat Cummins. So, St. Preux, I kind of think Dana White doesn't really like St. Preux if he's putting him against Patrick Cummins, because St. Preux went on a tear in the UFC. He won like 5 fights in a row. Gil Volante, Cody Donovan, Keita Krylov, Ryan Jimmo. Then he lost to Bader. Bader found a way to win. Too good with the takedowns, the wrestling. St. Preux couldn't handle it. He came back and he knocked out Shogun in 34 seconds, which was very impressive on his part. But I don't think the same thing is going to happen with Pat Cummins. Pat Cummins isn't going to go in with the madness Shogun goes in with. And I think Cummins will keep the distance. He's going to hit him with some kicks. And then I think, St. Preux will reply with a few kicks, but then he's going to get put in his back. And once Patrick Cummins gets on top of you, I don't think St. Preux is going to be able to get up. I mean, maybe I'm doing the guy a disservice, but I don't think he's going to be able to get out from under Patrick Cummins. Whether Patrick Cummins can finish him, I don't know. I'm not sure he has that in his... St. Preux is tough. I'm not sure Patrick Cummins is that much of a finisher. He's certainly strong in the wrestling department. He has a few decent kicks, and he's going to win this fight by decision. So, lock it in, people. Alright, a very interesting fight is Jim Miller, who's coming back. He hasn't fought in a little while. It's the last time he fought, yeah. Last July, he fought the Cowboy and he lost. Donald was kicking him to the body constantly, breaking him. Jimmy went to block the body kick and he took a kick to the head. Was not pretty at all. So he's taking a bit of time off, almost a year, and he's coming back. But the guy's fighting Beneil Dariush. He is a man who likes to throw some kicks as well. So, and he's coming off a very impressive win against Cruikshank, where he submitted him after pretty much schooling him on the feet. Cruikshank couldn't really land anything. And Dariush, he beat Carlos Diego Ferrara before that unanimous decision. I mean, I don't think he's going to finish Jim Miller. It's whether Jim Miller can get on the inside and get him to the floor. And Dariush is a very good grappler. So, what's going to happen? Jim is going to make this a close fight. And I think he's going to lose it on points. That's what I think is going to happen. And it's going to be very tight. Probably going to be a split decision. There's not too much in the difference of these guys. They're both very good fighters. Jim Miller's very experienced. I'm not sure he's going to be able to get around this bigger guy. Dariush is bigger than him. Jim's going to have to take this to the floor. And even if he does, that's not really the world he wants to be in with Dariush. So I'm not sure how I see Jim Miller winning this. Therefore, I give it to Dariush on points. That's how it's going to go. Jim can get caught in a submission every now and again. Yeah, well, maybe it's only Nate Diaz that submitted him, actually. So, yeah, decision win for Dariush. That's the way it goes, Jim. I hope Jim Miller wins, but I don't think it's going to happen. All right, moving along. Felice, little bulldog. Herrig is fighting very cute Paige Van Zandt. 12 gauge, she's calling herself. 21-year-old strawweight, 115 pounds. 4 wins, 1 loss. She knocked out Kaylin Curran in her first fight in the 3rd round. And she lost to Tisha Torres in unanimous decision. She went 3 rounds with her, though. And that was 2 years ago. Shit. Yeah, 2 years ago. She's only 19, so I reckon she's come on a bit since then. Now, Felice Herrig didn't really find her the most likeable girl around. I mean, she beat Lisa Ellis in the Ultimate Fighter finale by armbar. Lisa Ellis, no great shakes. Lost a decision to Tisha Torres before that. Now, she's fought some decent girls. She has split decision over Heather Clark. She had a unanimous decision loss to Carla Esparza. And it's got a lot of fights in her record. She's fought like 15 times. The problem is I have with this show and this tough cast is that they're all crap. All of them. And they're all fighting at a level that was pretty low and they're getting found out. I mean, Carla Esparza looked like an undefeatable wrestler. And she was just so good and so strong in the wrestling that no one was going to beat her. And she got fucking tooled by Joanna in their title fight. Then we saw Joanne Calderwood come out last week and, like, okay, her head wasn't in it for whatever reason, but her technique and her defense, very poor. And I'm just starting to think that whole cast of The Ultimate Fighter was fighting at a pretty low level. So, with that in mind, and with it in mind that Van Zandt is much cuter than Felice, I'm going with Paige. Don't know how she's going to win it. Not going to be picking a method of victory, but I think she's going to be beating Felice. Felice seems to have a few mental issues as well. Coming up to fight, she gets very nervous. She doubts herself a lot. Thinks about retirement. She's going to lose. All these things. Maybe these things spur her on to do even better, but just didn't get a good feeling about her, and I don't think she's beaten anyone of real class. Lisa Ellis, I don't think is real class. So Paige Van Zandt's time to make yourself a star, get on the road to superstardom. Exactly what the strawweight division needs. And yeah, probably decision victory. Don't know what method I'm gonna pick, but she's gonna win, and that's that. That is that. Now then, Max Holloway. Max Holloway, he's quite the interesting guy. I mean, he lost a split decision to Bermudez, and then he got beaten by Conor. And this is when he had he'd beaten Pat Shilling, Justin Lawrence, and Leonard Garcia on his way to that. He was on a roll. He's a very young guy, and he'd skills. And after his loss to Conor, people started thinking, nah, maybe he's just crap. And he's shown people since then that he ain't crap. He gave Cole Miller a pretty decent beatdown in their 3 rounds, in his 3-round unanimous decision over him. He knocked out Akira Corsani. I think my granny knocked out Corsani a couple of years back. He beat Clay Collard, Andre Feely, Will Cope. So he's on a 5-fight winning streak, and he's stepping up a level now, big time. Like Cole Miller was a decent step up. Cole Miller's, like Conor said, he's a journeyman, but he's got skills. He's good on the ground. He's decent on his feet. He's a very tough guy, but he got fucked up against Max Holloway. His just, speed and skill was just too much for him. But now he's fighting Cub Swanson. And Cub Swanson, he's kind of gone into the shadows a little bit, I guess. He underperformed, I think, against Frankie Edgar. And he lost. He got submitted. Frankie submitted him with 4 seconds to go. It cost me fucking shitload of cash because I had him to win by decision in a big accumulator. Pissed me off, Frankie. But anyway, we know a lot about Cub. He went on a 6-fight winning streak, starting with beating the magnificent George Roop by knockout. And then he went through the likes of Pearson, Oliveira, Poirier, Seaver and Stevens. None of those dudes are a joke. That's for sure. Lamas beat him by triangle 4 years ago. Well, fuck Lamas. That's what I have to say about him. Anyway, he went 5 rounds of Frankie, but Frankie schooled him on the wrestling. He just took him down, had his way with him. Holloway is not a man that can do that at all. And so that's going to play into Cub Swanson's hands. And you'd have to think the aggression on the feet might be a little bit much for Holloway. Holloway can take a punch and he can take a kick. You saw that against McGregor. He didn't go. He's not an easy guy to put away. But my feeling is that Cub's going to be the first guy to knock him out. That's what I think is going to happen. Cub needs to make a serious statement. A decision win over Max Holloway. Although it's nice, Holloway's a good fighter. It's not what Cub needs at the moment. He needs a big win. It needs to be powerful. Fucking people need to be shocked. People need to be going, oh shit, he knocked him the fuck out. That's what Cub Swanson needs to get back in the game. That's what he's going to do. Whether Holloway can get through a round with him, I don't know. But it's going to be a KO for Cub Swanson. So there you are, mon frères. That's what's going to happen. So the co-main event of the evening. This fight with Jacare and Romero. What a fight that would have been. For me, that's almost fight of the year. Those two guys are animals, and Romero, I just want to see Romero fight the top guys. I think he's brilliant. Obviously, he's a couple of issues, but his level of skill and judo is just, and his strength is incredible. But anyway, he pulled out last week, and he was replaced by Chris fucking Camozzi, who got cut by the UFC after, I think he lost 4 in a row. He's a guy who just cannot get up off his back. He cannot get up off his back. And he'll sit there for 3 rounds and let you sit on him. You know, you can have a sandwich, drink, sit on Chris Camozzi. He ain't doing shit. And Dana White said, everyone bitching about Chris Camozzi taking this fight. He said, well, not too many fucking guys in the world are going to take on Jacare in 1 week's notice. And he has a point. Jacare is not a guy to be fucked with. He's an outstanding fighter, and he showed that by submitting Mousasi in his last fight. And he let's look at his guys. He, Francis Carmount he beat, Yushin Okami knocked out. Camozzi, yeah, he fought him a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, and he submitted him. He submitted Ed Herman. Ed Herman's not a guy that's likes to submit. Derek Brunson. He's beaten Robbie Lawler in Strikeforce. He's beaten Jim Kennedy. He's beaten Matt Linland. Beaten Mayhem Miller. This fucking guy's got a who's who. And I bet against Jacare once before. That was a mistake. Right now he's on a 7-fight streak. The odds are going to be ridiculous in his favour. The only question is how he's going to finish the fight. Will he submit Camozzi? Camozzi is probably going to get taken down and submitted. I mean, that's likely. What's Camozzi been working on? Has Camozzi been working at all? What the fuck does Camozzi do? I don't know. It's a toss-up. It's a toss-up between a decision and a submission. And whether Jacare wants to just take this guy down, pound on him a little bit, and then go for some sort of choke, more or whatever. That's the most likely game plan, in my opinion. Jacare doesn't want a decision win because he's already beaten this guy, and if he beats him, in an inferior fashion than last time, that's not going to do him any good at all. So Jacare, first round. No, yeah, Jacare first round. I don't think Camozzi going to last around with him. Camozzi just, he does not have the technique. and the skills to match a guy like Jacare in any way, in any shape or form. Maybe on the feet he's got a few decent shots, but don't think Jacare is going to let this go on the feet. There's no point having any risk at all in this fight for Jacare. So KO or submission win in the first round. Submission. That's what I'm going for. That's what I'm betting on. And the main event of the evening. Well, this is quite the fight, because we got Lyoto Machida and we got Luke Rockhold. And what's there to say about Luke Rockhold? Now, didn't particularly like this guy for a while with his tiger ball cupping antics, but he's shown me in his last 3 fights the man has top level skill in a lot of ways. His loss against Vitor Belfort, this was that fucked him basically, because he had beaten the likes of, coming out of Strikeforce, he'd beaten the likes of Jacare, beaten Keith Jardine, beaten Jim Kennedy, and then he got kicked in the head with a spinning heel kick from Vitor. Like, where the fuck did Vitor pull that from? But he pulled it out, and he did it. He knocked out Luke. But Luke came back. Costa Philippou knocked out with a kick to the body. Pretty impressive. Tim Boach, he got him in a nasty position off a takedown, and Tim was just totally trapped with nowhere to go and had to submit. But the most impressive of all was him beating Michael Bisping. And he choked him out. Now, Michael Bisping didn't like the headbutts, and he has a case, but it's neither really here nor there in this one. The real intriguing thing is we got 2 guys with outstanding kicks. Both guys have knocked out people with kicks to the body. Machida did in his last fight against CB Dollaway a vicious kick to the body, and Dollaway just fucking crumpled against the fence. And that was the end of him, basically. It was I think it was a 1 minute he knocked him out in. Rockhold has equally good kicks. Maybe he doesn't have such an array of kicks that Machida might possess, but he has the power and he has big, long fucking legs. What plays into Machida's hands is that he's better footwork, and he's going to be in and out and harder to kick, and he's going to be able to kick Rockhold easier. And this is 5 rounds, and this is one of those fights where Machida is going to retreat a little bit back to his old self, where he's going to be a bit more cautious, because he can't afford to go in and take a fucking kick to the body or kick to the head from Luke Rockhold. Nobody can. So Machida's going to dance a little bit more like he did in the older days. He's going to score points. This is going to be a karate point scoring affair for Lyoto Machida. And some miracle he might finish Rockhold, something might happen, he might lock in a submission, who knows. But I think he's going to point score him, he's going to win 3 or 4 rounds, and he's going to win a decision. And Luke Rockhold will be frustrated after it. He'll be bitching about not engaging and such and so on and so forth, but at the end of the day, it's going to be up to him to chase down Machida. Many a man has tried to do that and failed, and Luke Rockhold's going to fail this weekend. As good a fighter he is, he's just that tiny bit not quite as good as Lyoto Machida, who I believe is right at the top of his game at the moment. And, when he fought Weidman, he showed outstanding skills, and he had Weidman fucked up many times, well, towards the end of that fight. And I think he's fitter and better shape. He's more determined. He's just, maybe he's not. Luke Rockhold's a determined guy, but Machida's preparation is going to be immaculate. It always is. And he's going to win this by decision. So there we go. Some decent fights this weekend, as you can see. I'm really looking forward to it. Going to be pulling an all-nighter and winning big bucks, hopefully. Best of luck, everyone, and we'll see you next time.